and especially for Mickey and Troy and Jimmy, thank you. You guys have been wanting to get this content and do the exercises and play with it and so forth. So I'm happy to share that we are about at 99% completion of everything that you need, and I will be at 100% completion probably by the end of the day today. I'm almost there. So what I wanted to do was show you several of the things that will now be available to you and where you will get them. And then we're also going to go through Revello and talk about that. And for, I forget, who's not on the phone? Is it Jimmy?
Mickey.
Mickey, okay. So for Troy and for Jimmy, you guys are actually welcome to get onto Revello. I sent you your login information. I know you guys have both accepted. Or we could just, we're recording this and you can watch this recording later as well, so that you can see how to work with all of this. So the first thing are PowerPoints. And I know I have taken longer than I intended to take, but I did want to point out or let you know, this is where I'm at 99%. I've got about 10 more slides to do, but I do have full notes in all of the slides now. I put in audio recorded myself, and then Brett, we did kind of a similar thing with Brett. So I audio recorded myself. And then I didn't put in every word I say, but I did put in, you know, some of the summary, kind of the key concepts that I will bring up on this slide or that slide. A lot of times I will also ask questions to the students, and these are just questions I ask. So I actually put those in some of the notes, you know, the kind of the question I might ask to the students, and then you know, what the answer might be. And this is just something, you know, you guys are absolutely welcome to ask those questions if you want. It just gives you some ideas. It gives you an idea of how I will deliver it. Something else that I added here that I have not had before in these PowerPoints was I do some whiteboarding that I think is really valuable. And so I was trying to figure out a way to call out the whiteboard that I do. So I've done this basically. I put a slide. I've got like 3 of these, I think, in ASM and a couple of them in APM. And again, these are optional. You don't have to do these. I do find that I think some of these whiteboards kind of really help with some of these concepts. So I've got the kind of the concept of the whiteboard here in the PowerPoint. So that's good. That's one part. That's good. So as far as the PowerPoints go, you'll have, again, by the end of the day, we have the LTM, the GTM, APM, and ASM. They will all be available as one download. They'll all have the speaker notes, and those will be ready for you to go. And I will show you in a couple of minutes where you're going to be downloading those from. Okay. Any questions on the PowerPoint at this time?
No, that sounds great, because having the notes so that we know, at the very least, you know, the concepts, what your main points and everything are you know, just that's critical. So that's good news.
Yeah. Sometimes it's, you know, I get a little verbose sometimes, so you might, and I don't expect you guys to, you know, memorize these and read them. I would never want you to do that. You still make this your own. You teach it however you want. Obviously, this was, just designed so you could see what I do. Now, on that same topic, we decided to do something that I think is, I'm very, very glad that we finally did this. So we were just teaching, I was just teaching our boot camp this last week and this week, and we video recorded it. We video recorded all of my ASM modules, all of the APM modules, and on Friday, we're going to record all of Brett's doing his DNS training. And so right now, I have all of these available on, where is it at? They're all right now on YouTube. And so you guys can now go, and anytime you want to, got all of them packaged together here. So you'll see I've got Lesson 1, Part 1, Lesson 1, Part 2, Lesson 1, Part 3. Each one, it tells you here in the description that Lesson 1, Part 1 covers slides 1 through 10 and so forth. And so this way, in addition to the the speaker notes, you can review anything that you feel like you want a little bit more background or what I say, and also this will show you the whiteboard as well.
Yeah.
And so we just thought if we put those out there, it'll be a lot easier for you as you maybe teach every couple of months and you want to go back and review a few things. You've got it available to you.
Oh, that's wonderful, Chris. That's way more than what we'd even talked about.
Yeah, I was talking with my counterpart in EMEA, and he was talking about recording one of his presentations for the account managers over there, and I thought that's a great idea, so let's do that. And so I'm going to have, what I'll have is in the same place where you have all the PowerPoints files and the exercise guide, of course, I will have just probably a PDF, and the PDF will have links to all of these videos, so you can just click on those. You don't have to worry about searching for them. And then just as long as you can stomach listening to me for minutes and minutes and minutes on end, great. I'm going to try to clean these up a little bit. Right now I just did a full dump of the videos, and I noticed they're a little dark, and the audio is not bad, but what I want to do is try to lighten them up a little bit, and I want to zoom in and zoom out on the whiteboard when I go and do stuff on the whiteboard and so I'm going to try to do that within a week or so, but in the meantime I'll leave these up there, and then I'll just replace them when the time comes. All right, so that's PowerPoint. So that should, together, that should help you prepare for the presentation aspect of this. By the way, we don't have, pull up another browser here. We're not going to have a recording of the LTM fundamentals because Brett doesn't actually teach that.
Okay.
But you guys have access to F5 University, and I'm actually going to, what you guys would do in F5 University would look like this for partners. And so if you go to training, and I'll put this in the PDF as well, then I put the PDF together. But if you come into your training catalog, and I believe we go to, no, not there, I always forget where it's at. There it is, LTM Fundamentals. So these are all pretty much the exact replicas of the PowerPoints that you present in that LTM Fundamentals section. We don't cover all of these in the LTM Fundamentals section. You don't do iRules and IAPS. But so, for example, if you wanted to review a little bit about the monitors, I can't remember if you guys cover monitors or not, then you could actually come and watch the e-learning, and that's pretty much the same as delivering or watching a recording of it. It's completely prepare you to be able to be more comfortable delivering that.
Great.
So I'll put that note in the PDF. I'll call it a prep PDF. So speaking of, where will all this be? So I've decided I'm going to post all of these files on the F5 downloads page. So if you guys have done, if you've done the VLab before, then you'll know that we have this VLab section. This is where all of our F5 SEs and our partner SEs can download all of the VLab stuff. And you'll see that I now have a new call out here, Partner Boot Camp Materials. And it says, this is password protected. So in here, I will have one or more downloadable files. Right now, this is just a placeholder, so that pbcmaterials.zip isn't actually contain anything yet. I just wanted to put it in here so you guys could see it. But once I have the PowerPoint notes all done. I'll put them all together with the exercise guide and that PDF I'm talking about and anything else that I think is relevant. And I'll put that all into one zip file. And that zip file will be password protected. So only you guys will have the password to unzip it. Somehow, I've already had, I just put this up about a week ago, and I've already had one email come in from somebody saying, hey, I'd like this password. I see that it says it's only for trainers, but I'd love to review the content. And I had to reply and say, this is just for trainers. That's what it says, and that's what it means. So if you hear anybody ask about it, this is
customer or partner?
I think it was a partner, because it went to a channel email box and so forth. I went back and forth. Eric and I have been talking, like, where's the best place to post this? And I feel like posting it on Dropbox is very generic. This feels to me more F5, you know, and it's also the nice thing about using our downloads page is have data centers so you can pick where you want to download from. I'm already configured for the U.S. West Coast, so people in different regions can download faster.
Sure.
The only problem is, you know, I can't do how do you say, I can't ensure that only the 3 of you guys, you know, can get into that partner boot camp materials. Like, all partners and all SEs will see that. They can download it. They just can't unzip it. And it is what it is. We're gonna have to try that for a while and see if it doesn't cause more trouble than it's worth. But so for the time being, that's where you guys will be able to download all your stuff. And I will email you probably in just a couple, 2-3 days when it is all completely available and you can go get your first download and start reviewing.
Great.
Awesome. I'm glad you did it there because data blocks access to Dropbox, so we can't even get to the Dropbox files.
Good. Okay.
That's good to know.
Yeah, that is good to know. Very good to know. All right, so we've covered the PowerPoint, the location. We've also got, I've updated one of the things that is just me. It's Chris Manley. That's the wrong one. I can't remember where I put this. But I have the exercise guide done. Where I put it. We'll hopefully find it. So it's cleaned up a lot, and that's already available. So you could actually have that today, but I'll just give me another, like I said, another 24 hours, and it'll all be available to you. And the most exciting part about this meeting, in my opinion, is that as I said in an email earlier this week, we did succeed. This is one of the things we talked about in September. If we could only get our own Revello domain, then life will be so much easier for all of us. And so we do have our own Revello domain that is just for this program for the distributors who are going to be teaching all of our partner classes. And so there's 2 things that you guys can use this for. One is you can launch up your own application so that you can go through the exercises yourself and you can test them out. And so to do that, and again, we'll record, this is being recorded, so don't worry about taking notes now. You can always go view this recording in a little bit later. But to do that, you'll just come to the library blueprints. I'm keeping back copies, so whatever is the top of the list, this is the most current, this is the most baked, and you just select the blueprint for Partner Bootcamp V13. Then it's a 2-step process. It's a little weird here with Revello. You have to first create an application. And I always recommend in this application name, see it's got a generic name there that ends in an I. if two of you are trying to create an application at the same time, to go through the exercises at the same time, you can't both have an application with the same name. So I always just recommend, putting your name or something at the end of the application, just to make it unique. So then the second step is to publish it. So that is what takes this application and it pushes it out to one of the Amazon Web Services locations around the world. So when you publish, I always recommend you choose performance. Don't worry about the cost right now, although I will share one other thing in just a moment. And then you'll see all these locations, and the Revelo team is going to be adding more locations for us in the next week or so. But you'll see you can publish this out in the US East, which is great for you guys, but we also have the ability to publish all around Europe and the rest of the world. And then the amount of time you want this to run for. So if you want to go through all the exercises, you might change that to 6 hours. And then you click on Publish. And at that point, they will start up, and they'll be blue, and they'll stay blue for a while, which means that they're publishing. And then eventually they'll turn from blue to green, which means they're essentially started, but it doesn't actually mean they're started. So for example, with the big IP, as soon as it turns green, that actually identifies that the big IP has began its own personal boot process. And a big IP boot process might be another 3 or about 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes or so. So you'll basically just wait until these are all green. And then let me do one other thing here while I have you guys on the line, because I have an example of this that I can show you. I'm sorry, but I'm tired of seeing that man's picture everywhere.
You don't like Snoop Dogg?
Yes, it's Snoop Dogg. Always is a problem. So I'm actually going to just show you in my other domain, which of course I can't get into from here. Okay. Sorry, I need to have, okay, sorry, bear with me for just a moment, you guys, sorry. This number, domain name here, just to go find it. Here we go. So here's an application that I had running earlier this morning for a direct training I was doing. So this is what it looks like once everything is turned green and you're ready to go. And so for you guys, you can do all the exercises by selecting the jump box. In mine here, I have a Windows jump box, but you'll notice in the Partner Boot Camp, it's a Linux jump box, but it's the same idea, regardless of which one you're using. You'll select the jump box, and then over here on the right, you see the IP address. And so we're going to copy that IP address. And then you open up Remote Desktop, put in the IP address, and then you'll connect. And in the exercise guide, it tells you the exact student name and password that you enter here. And then the desktop opens up, and from there you can do all the exercises for as much time as you want to spend. So that's the first thing you can do, is you can go through all the exercises as many times as you want. When you're done with an application, there's two things. We obviously want to keep costs in control with this Revelo domain. I don't think it's going to be an issue for the first 6 months, but that being said, we don't want to just be running these when you don't need them. So when you know you're done, if you want to play with this, if you want to finish up this exercise tomorrow, you're not done with it, but you want to finish it tomorrow, then you can just stop the application. That'll stop all the VMs, and then you can restart it the next day. And that way, at least we're not paying for it. We are still paying for the storage, but we're not paying for all the processing. So if you're actually done with something, then we recommend you delete it. get it out of there. So that is the first thing you guys can do, which we couldn't let you do before. So I think this is a really big deal. You can do this as early as today. In fact, if you really wanted to try the exercises today, email me right now and say, send me the exercise guide, and I'll just send you the exercise guide, and you can come in here and start up your application and start playing as soon as you want. The more exciting part, yes, go ahead.
Right now, I'm on Revello. My library, I'm not showing, any of those blueprints.
That is probably because I am still learning how to deal with these groups. So I have, where are they? Groups. So I have you guys in a group called Disty Trainer, and I probably don't have, I don't. So I don't have enough permissions for you guys yet. So what I have to do in the group is this is new to me, so I haven't played with it a lot, but I have to probably go into Blueprint and say you can read and execute blueprints, that kind of thing. So that should help. So I'll play with that a little bit later today, and then you guys can test it and let me know if it's working for you.
Great.
And you'll notice, by the way, my things are starting to come up. So the more exciting part about this, and this is a brand new Revello feature, they just launched this at the end of the year, beginning of this year. So we're really some of the first people that get to use this, and it's the new training platform. And this is what you're going to use as an instructor. This is what you're going to use to to get your classes of all your students ready to go and get them started. So what I'm going to do first before I go into that is I'm going to, let's say I have a roster, and I definitely recommend that you have a roster of your students. So let's say my first student is me. Oops. Chris. So I'm going to have this roster, and I'm going to save it. I don't know if I need to I know I need to have these column names, but I don't know if I need to make them bold. But I'm going to save this as a CSV. So it has all my student names in it. So I'm ready to get a class going for next week. I want to have a class ready to go for next week. So I go to the training platform, and first off, you'll notice we have this thing called courses. You don't have to worry about that. That's just where I have the blueprint for this attached to a course, which I've called F5 3-Day Partner Boot Camp. So you don't have to worry about courses. All you have to worry about is classes. And so you want to create a class for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. So you'll come over to create a class. You're going to select, well, actually you don't have to, it's the blueprint we have. So that's the blueprint we're going to use. Actually, we do need to select it. Okay, select the course. Then you'll put in some information about it, when it should be available. Next Monday from 8 a.m. until Wednesday at 5 p.m., let's say. Cost bucket right now you can just leave. We're going to leave as organization. In the future, if I wanted to isolate a little bit more between the three of you that are doing the training and see, who's using how much, I might create different cost buckets for each of you, but that doesn't mean you're going to be, sending us money. It just means we can keep track a little bit more. So for now, we're just going to leave that to organization. Description's optional. You don't have to put that if you don't want. This is just like we saw earlier. You're going to want to use performance and then pick where you want that deployment to go out to. And then you can select yourself as the trainer. Time zone is going to be important for you guys. because it has to do with, what we have up here. So you want to make sure you pick the right time zone. And then I will create the class. So now I've got the class ready to go. Now I need my students. So for students, we're going to go to the Manage Students. And you can either add students manually, first name, last name, email address, or obviously because I created that CSV, I can just import from the CSV that I created. Brings in those students with their email addresses. So now I've got all my students, maybe 5, 6, 8, 10 students that we have. Now I've got my class. Now I've got my students. Now what I'm going to do is remind myself what was next. There was one last part of this. Oh, applications. There it is. So here I've got my students, then I've got my applications. And what I can do is I can click on Export Student Portal Links. So the first thing I can do is so notice these are already starting, which is that true? No, they're stopped. Okay, so let's say it's Monday morning. What I always recommend, I think we talked about this during our training in September, is you want to start these up at least an hour before your class starts, because it does take, so much time for these apps to fully get going. So you want them to be available by their first exercise. So you can come in before your class, select all of your students. These are the apps for each student, and you can just start them all. And then what's really cool is, how can I do that? Sorry. There we go. So what's really cool is I can now click on this little button. This is going to open an Excel spreadsheet, which you can either copy all this into an email or paste it in, or whatever you want to do. But this, for each student, if they go to this link, and it's going to be in their email, so they can just click on the link, and they go to their own web browser.
That's their access.
That's their access.
Is that your browser?
Huh, that's interesting. That worked yesterday. Of course, it doesn't work when
you're demoing it.
Yeah.
I guarantee this worked yesterday. Don't do this. I wonder if it's
maybe it's not up. Maybe it's not up and running yet. So if it's not up and running,
oh, here it is. Here it is. It just wasn't working in IE for some reason in Edge. But so this is what used to, when they click on their link, they'll come here. Right now they're all starting. But if you did this before class and it was all ready to go, these would all be green. So they see all 3 of their images, and they literally can just click on the RDP icon here. It opens up their RDP window. They don't have to worry about any IP addresses or anything like that. They log in and they start class.
Oh, that is a great teaching tool they've made now.
Yes, it's a big improvement.
Absolutely.
I think it's very exciting. And again, we're like some of the first people of the Revelo customers that are actually even using this.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we're kind of the pilot. We're the beta folks. So again, all of these, since we've recorded this, you guys can watch that again. I will try, but I probably won't get this in the next couple of days. I'll try to create a little bit more of a user guide for this, a step-by-step guide for you guys to have available to you. But do you guys have, that's for the most part, that is really all there is to this. Is the class, your students, and then starting up your images and exporting the links and sending them to your students. But do you guys have any other questions about Revello that I haven't talked about yet?
Not that I know of. But we'll start playing with it, and then we'll probably come up with questions. But
I think you're absolutely correct. I had the same experience myself. For us, what's really nice is we'll have this record here now. We can see all the classes that are either scheduled to come up or have already happened. This will show, we can show completed classes as well. For each one of these, we can go into it and we can view all of the students, which is nice. So it gives us a lot of visibility as well.
Yeah.
excellent.
So
Well, that looks great.
Yeah.
It sure the heck beats telling everybody they've got to download VMware and trying to do it that way.
Absolutely, absolutely. And everybody has a consistent environment. You know, you don't have to worry about one student not being set up properly or anything like that. I think there's still potentially a possibility that Mac users need to have the Microsoft Remote Desktop installed from their Play Store. I haven't tried it yet with that new portal page, the link, you know, when they click on RDP, but that might be the only thing that we'll want to test, and you may want to tell your students ahead of time that if you're a Mac user, you might need to install this. And normally, if they haven't on the first day, their first exercise, it takes them 3 minutes to install it. But I did have one student recently where he could not get into his Apple ID account. He spent like 45 minutes trying to figure it out, and so the whole while he couldn't move forward, and that was unfortunate, but it is what it is. There is one other thing, though, if that ever does happen, and somebody just cannot get to RDP, they can also click on Console. Console will actually open up the window, it'll open up the desktop in a web browser window versus an RDP window. I believe it works just as well. They can't copy and paste, I don't think, into it. However, we have a copy and paste guide on the JumpBox desktop. So anytime they should copy and paste something into the configuration, they don't even have to, they can just copy and paste it right inside the same computer. So that shouldn't be an issue either. So you can use either of those, RDP or Console, for your students. So for anybody who's just having a hard time with their RDP, they can just go to Console and they'll be just fine.
Great.
So we've got our PowerPoints ready to go. We got our exercise guide ready to go. You got your environment ready to go. Location of where the files are going to be available for you, it's ready to go. What questions or additional things, is there anything I've missed or forgotten that we're going to need, or you guys are going to need?
No, I don't think so right now. Not anything that I know. We'll just need resellers now to give the training to.
Yep. I see that Troy. Troy is saying he doesn't have any questions, and his.
There.
Sorry, I muted you earlier. Troy,
now can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Have any other thoughts or comments, Troy?
No, this is fantastic. I've been talking the whole time, wondering why everybody kept talking about me. I'm like, geez.
Just ignoring you. Just ignoring you. Yes.
Yeah.
We're just rude.
Yeah.
We're just rude.
No, this is the one thing I did have a question. We saw the little issue there between when you're trying to do it in Internet Explorer. Does this seem to run better in Chrome as the environment for this?
I feel very confident that I got this to work in IE before, but just out of curiosity, let me try here. I'm going to ask the Revello folks about this. That's really, and they'll have to help me figure that out. I don't know what's going on there. I could have sworn I pulled it up, but maybe I did pull it up in Chrome yesterday when I was playing with it, so it's very possible. So I'll have that answer for you guys, hopefully. And if it is a bug, they'll get it fixed as well. Luckily, most of us have Chrome installed, so if that is an issue for a short time, you know, that hopefully we can work around it. But that being said, you know, at this point, once these files are on the downloads page, like I said, it'll just be another day or so. You guys are ready to start whenever you want to start, and then at that point, I kind of leave it more to Erica and you guys with your channel team and so forth. So we've got the tools for you now. Now it's just you guys go out and start getting these trainings going.
Yep.
Yeah. So Chris, when you get everything on the download site, will you email us and just when you do, email us the password, and we'll know at that point, hey, it's good to go.
Yep, I will definitely do that. And just to give you guys a couple more things, a couple little preview notes for the videos. You guys may recall, if you remember, when we were doing the ASM section, I went through the third lesson with you guys that was about staging and learning and all of that. And I told you that you don't actually have to deliver that in this class. We don't do the third lesson, but I just wanted to give you guys the training so that you were, you know, had some opportunity to learn it a little bit. So it's the same thing. You won't actually deliver that in this class, but I do have the videos for that. So if you wanted to go and watch that third lesson again just to get more comfortable with ASM in general, that's one thing you can do. And then the second thing is maybe 3 months from now, we have a next class that you guys can start learning and delivering, and it's our advanced security class. And the advanced security class is it's a day of ASM, and then AFM, and then WebSafe. And so this third lesson that we do in our FE Tech Boot Camp, that's actually the beginning of the advanced security for the partners. So learning that third lesson will eventually help you and get you ready for the next class. So we're hoping to bring you guys back out to Seattle again and do a kind of a train the trainer for this two-day class. It's a two-day class, and then you guys will have the tools and you guys could start delivering that training as well.
Great.
Cool.
All right.
Cool. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, everybody on the phone. You jumping on.
You're welcome. I'm excited for you guys. I hope you guys start getting some good feedback, and this helps you just deliver some standout training.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
Yeah, now we can just get some partners to take advantage of it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, Chris. We'll look forward to your email, and we'll start downloading stuff and getting ourselves ready to go out in the real world.
Sounds
thanks,
good.
Guys.
Yeah, thank you guys. I'm glad you guys are doing this.
Cool. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Erica.
You bet.
Talk to you soon.
Thank you.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.